What's up guys, Captain Blair Wiggins here. Gonna show you how to rig a rod from start to finish. I've been asked a lot of times to do this, so here we go. I'm gonna start off with the brand new Quantum PT Reel Smoke series, along with the matching rod for it. And gonna start off putting backing on, switch it up to Seaguar Smackdown for our main line, and we're gonna end it with some Seaguar Fluorocarbon Leader, the saltwater series. Let's get started. This is the Quantum PT S3 series. Awesome reel, and ain't nothing like a brand new reel, especially getting it open. You can see I have not opened this one yet. This is just how they come out of the box. Got a couple little extra parts in there. This is a 2500 size, so it is basically a trout rod. And I'm gonna rig it with that 20-pound Smackdown, just in case I happen to get a hold of one of these big snook around here down in Sebastian. So inspect the reel, make sure everything's working on it, pop it on your rod. This 25, make sure you got your rod matched to your reel. I mean, you want to get a balance point right in front of the reel right there, and that's, you know, that's pretty balanced right there. You can't beat that. Now that you got it nice and balanced, you got it matched up with the right rod and the right reel, I always like to put the line and everything on wet. And what I mean by that, I got a bucket of water here, and I pretty much put everything in there that's going on to the spool, including my backing to my running line, to not my leader, but you know, just the running line. So let me show you how I attach my backing to my reel. I start off with just an overhand square knot on. So my next knot that I'm gonna do is basically just a slip knot, which is overhand, back around on itself. And that is gonna go right around the spool. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've put it around the spool and did not open it, and you gotta take the spool off and all that kind of good stuff. But anyhow, what I like to do, throw your backing in there, make sure you're not all tangled up. And what I like to do is about 25 revolutions or 30. You know, I kind of watch the spool, and what I'm doing there, I'm building up the spool a little bit, so when you put your main line on there, like the Smackdown, it's completely out to the edge of the spool, so when you're making your cast, you get your full potential cast that you can. So I'm just building that up a little bit. This is a small spool I'm putting on 20-pound test. That's about all the backing I need. So I'm gonna trim this and attach my main line now. And this is Seaguar Smackdown, and I'm using 20-pound test just because I like the diameter of the Smackdown. It's nice and smooth. I can skip it up under these mangroves, and it's just a really, really smooth line. I absolutely love it. And this is the Gray Stealth. And believe it or not, this is 20-pound test, and it is thinner than dental floss. It's absolutely incredible. Y'all try some of this stuff. It is good. So I'm gonna attach this with a uni-to-uni knot to attach my main line to my backing. And if you don't know how to do a uni-to-uni knot, look up the video where I tie a uni-to-uni knot. This stuff is so thin, I'm gonna use thicker line during those knot tying sessions, so it's a lot easier to see. But uni-to-uni knot, right here. All right, got uni-to-uni tied. Next procedure, I said I like to put it on wet because this is how you use the line. You don't use it after you put it on dry, so get it wet. Like I said, I only went through the first eye. That way I don't have the bouncing end of it up there where it can get tangled when I get going really, really fast. So now if you see what I'm doing here, I got a little bit of tension running through my fingers here, not a whole lot, and it's not gonna heat up either, because I remember putting on line when I was a kid and it'd burn your fingers, but it's wet, so it slides right through. And plus it's really, really thin diameter. You don't have to put that much pressure on it. Now the spool I have on here is a 150-yard spool. It's gotta be getting close, but it's 150, here it goes. It's a 150-yard spool. Now they do make a 300-yard spool of the Smackdown and of the Tactics braid. But you know, I try to like to use 150 yards at a time. That way it leaves me a whole nother reel I can rig with what's left on that spool that's left in the bucket. But that was a 150 yard spool, and I used every bit of it. My calculations were just about right for this 150 yard spool, because that area right there between the edge of the spool and my main line is very small. So that's going to enable that line to come off that spool really, really easy when I make a cast. And that is just about perfect. Next step, putting on the leader. Now I'm going to be throwing 40-pound test, and this is the Inshore by Seaguar fluorocarbon. It's very good abrasion resistant, and it's nice and limber, so it lets your lure work really, really well, being a high pound test, because of, you know, snook have those razor sharp gill plates. But 40-pound test is what we're rigging up today. Let me string these eyes real quick, and I'll show you that lovely FG knot that I use. All right, well, we got our rod all stringed up here, and I'm gonna show you the FG knot that I use. And I'm gonna show you a little trick that it might make it easy for you to tie. It could be a little hard. It took me a while to figure out how to do it this way, since I'm gonna be sitting here and I don't have a rod holder to stick it in, and that I need the tension. Got to do everything on camera here so you can see it. But you know, I put my foot on the rod down here, and you don't need anything to brace it on, because what you're doing, you're trying to create a little bit of tension right here to do this FG knot. And once again, the FG knot I'll show you in a different video, because it's hard to see this knot right here when I'm tying it. That is how you tie and rig a leader, a rod, backing, main line on a beautiful Smoke S3. But I'm gonna trim that off right there, but that's basically how I rig a rod. I'll throw a DOA or a mirror lure on there, anything to cast all day long. And another little tip here, if you saw from a different video where I talked about leader length and how to choose leader length, if I'm prospecting an area a lot, and what I mean by prospecting, I don't know if there's fish there, I'm wanting to change lures a lot. My dad used to use a snap swivel and change lures out a lot, but a snap swivel to me takes away the action of a lure. So I'll make my leader usually a little bit longer than the fish that I intend to catch, the biggest fish that day. But if I'm prospecting, I'll go a little bit longer. That way I can change out lures a lot and just trim up my line a little bit. I use the Merle Chandler Canoe Man knot, another video you can go check out. But you know, that's basically how I rig a rod. Been doing it that way my whole life, and I learned that, I think, from Bill Dance back in the 70s when I was watching his show. But put everything on wet just like you're fishing with it, and it'll help you with wind knots and everything else. But get out there and get on the water and enjoy it.